My birthday was a couple of days ago and I haven't spoken to him since. I'm heartbroken about this. I was walking home with my boyfriend and we passed a group of homeless people. One of them said, "Here you go, miss you, since you're the first woman who walked by and gave me a dead flower." It was around 10 p.m. and my birthday was at midnight, so it kind of felt special to me. I said, "Thank you so much," and kept walking. My BF didn't say anything, so I didn't think anything was wrong. I took my phone to take a video of the flower and tell my friend what just happened, and he tried taking my phone. I was laughing and asked what he's doing and didn't answer, just kept walking next to me. He looked a little annoyed, but I still wanted to get a video with the flower, so I pulled my phone out again. This time, he hit my hand really hard and made me drop my phone on the concrete. My phone screen is completely broken. Luckily, it's the screen protector, but still, it's all shattered. I screamed, "Why did you do that?" and he took my flower and threw it on the road. He said that's what I get for embarrassing him like that. I was tearing up because 1. He broke my phone. 2. He threw my flower away. 3. I couldn't understand what I did wrong. He made me delete the video with the flower in front of him and we walked in silence the rest of the time. At home, I blew up at him. I was crying, screaming, asking him why he did that. Literally an hour before my birthday. He said, "How would you feel if a girl just came up to me in front of you to give me a flower?" I said, "If it were the same homeless woman that you see almost every day when you walk in your neighborhood, I wouldn't mind." We have walked by this specific man plenty of times. He called me a liar, then said I was manipulative to try to invalidate his feelings when I was blandly disrespecting him in front of other men. I don't understand how it's disrespectful. I wasn't even going to keep the damn thing. It was a dead flower. I just thought it was cool because that had never happened to me, especially 2 hours before my birthday. He said a bunch of stuff, basically that I was an attention whore. I was sobbing. It was already my birthday and I felt like shit. We went to sleep without talking and the next morning he was gone. I had a brunch with my friends, so I had my mind distracted for a couple of hours, but it was still in the back of my mind. I still don't know who's 100% in the wrong here. Maybe I shouldn't have accepted the flower, but I honestly saw it as an innocent thing. He still won't talk to me. Even his siblings wished me a happy birthday, but he hasn't yet. I don't know what to do. I don't want to lose my boyfriend over a flower. Update 1. I broke up with him. To be honest, I still love him and I'm trying to cut all communication, because I know that if he contacts me again, I'll most likely go back. I literally made a list of all the reasons why he sucks and I try to read it every time I want to text him lol. Here's the update. He surprised me with my favorite flowers and a letter. He wished me happy birthday and apologized for his reaction. He said he was being immature and it won't happen again. He said we should work on communicating each other's boundaries better. He also apologized for ghosting me for a few days. He said he just needed some time to cool down. Not going to lie, I just wanted my boyfriend back, so I accepted the apology under the condition that he will never do anything like that again. He swore on his life that he'll never make me cry ever again. I genuinely saw a shift in his personality. He was even better than when I first fell for him. Like one time, we were cuddling and talking about our relationship. He literally started crying while professing his love to me. He said that he knows that sometimes he gets frustrated over little things, but it's because he loves me so much and he's terrified to lose me. He shared so many things about his past. He had never opened up to me before, so it really felt like the relationship grew stronger. We went to the beach as a little birthday celebration for me with his friends. We were 6 in total and I was the only girl. 2 other girls were supposed to come too, but they had work. I didn't know that until I asked one of the guys and he told me. Long story short, he got mad at me for wearing a bikini. He was like, "WTF do I look like having my girl walk around half naked like a hoe in front of everyone?" I reminded him that we're at the beach and a lot of people wear bikinis at the beach. He said that it's different because I'm the only girl here with 5 guys and it makes me look bad. I said I didn't care and went back to everyone. After a little while, he pulled me to the side again. He called me names, said that one of his friends obviously wants to fuck me but I'm too fucking dumb to see it. He said he overheard him. I don't think this is true, but He was very angry, but also he had been drinking, so it could explain his irrationalness. I started crying, then went home because I didn't want people to see me like that. He was being so weird. I don't know why he was being aggressive all of a sudden. Like before the flower incident, he had never used that kind of language with me, especially in public. He came over that night to talk about what happened. I was so hurt. I honestly thought we had grown closer. We both explained our side of the situation. I told him I wasn't trying to get anyone's attention by wearing a bikini and I can kind of understand his point of view. BC was a little uncomfortable too, being the only girl there. He said I could have put my clothes back on but I had to stay in a bikini. He said I looked like a hoe waiting to get fucked when I was laying on my stomach tanning. I can't really remember what he said after that. I was just so hurt. We were going in circles, so we decided to just go to bed. He then tried to initiate sex, which just pissed me off. I said no every time. I heard him say something about me being an annoying ass bitch under his breath, and that was the last straw. I kicked him out and broke up with him. It wasn't easy. He was crying and screaming the whole time. He even punched a wall in my room. I was terrified. I never thought he could do that, We had never fought like that before. He finally left when I dialed 911 and threatened to call. I don't know why I still love him so much. I understand his reactions, knowing his past and what he's been through, and it's a lot, trust me. I know it's not an excuse, but it's still an explanation, right? Anyway, it's over now. Half of my stuff is still at his house. I don't even want to think about it right now. He's blocked. I am really trying to villainize him in my mind so I can move on, but it's hard when all I can think of is the amazing moments we shared. Like how he was crying in my arms telling me he loves me more than life, the day he asked me to be his girlfriend or the day he gave me a promise ring. Maybe I did go wrong somewhere. It's just so crazy to think that all of this could have been avoided if I hadn't accepted the flower. Also, I am very aware that I'm dumb for thinking that he could change so quick. I just wanted my boyfriend back. Thank you again everyone for the advice. Update 2. I'm ashamed to admit it, but I went back one more time. I know it was a stupid choice. It's hard to explain. It's like he has a hold on me. At first, it was just about the sex, nothing more. We didn't want to completely cut each other off, but I didn't want to officially get back together or start meeting new people, so we agreed this would be the best option. And for a while, it actually worked. After the 5th or 6th time, we decided to try getting back together, but to do it right this time. I laid out my boundaries: no yelling, no cursing at me, no hitting, no going through my stuff, and being respectful. I made it clear that if he crossed any of these lines, I would leave him. I told him I wasn't his emotional punching bag and that just because he's been through a lot doesn't mean he can take it out on me, especially since I've never treated him that way. He agreed to everything and shared his own boundaries with me: no yelling, being respectful, modesty, and not going through his stuff. I also read some comments about how punching a wall can be the first step to punching someone, so I told him that could never happen again. He agreed and even booked a therapy appointment. He's really committed to self-improvement. Anger and impulsiveness are his only real issues. We both wanted this to work. Our anniversary is coming up, and I didn't want to break up right before it. Things were going fine until he sent me a TikTok of my post and accused me of exaggerating everything, basically calling me a liar. I'm attaching some screenshots because to this day, I still don't understand why he was saying all that. I got mad and called him, and we ended up screaming at each other on the phone. I felt like he was making everything about himself again and dismissing my feelings because he was embarrassed. He came over with my stuff and broke up with me, insulting me the whole time. I didn't want things to end like that, so I asked him to stay and talk. Long story short, we ended up screaming at each other again, and he broke my MacBook. I'm so done. Luckily, I'm not going to school this semester, so I won't really need it, but he still broke it. Like what the fuck? I'm reading the book that was recommended to me, and it's hard to accept that my boyfriend is one of those people. I'm glad he broke up with me. I know he's not good for me. He hates me now, and it's for the best. I know he won't bother me again, and I have no reason to talk to him now that I have my stuff back. I'm still learning a lot, like what love bombing is. I didn't know that's what he was doing. I know I'm naive, and that's why I want to stay single for a while. I don't want to end up in this situation again. Thank you to everyone, especially all the women, for sharing your stories, for helping me when I needed it. Oop, okay, I didn't know I couldn't attach screenshots here, so I'm copying word for word our conversation. This is all him texting me BTW. After sending me my post, his friend sent me this LMFAU: you're a fucking loser, keep leaving me on red. I just think it's so funny how you're gonna make 2 posts about being abused without even telling the whole story. Why he was so mad. Shut the fuck up, bro. Why didn't you tell them that you didn't refuse the flower? Why didn't you tell them how you rubbed it in my face knowing I wasn't happy about the situation? Why didn't you tell them that I told you to stop and you kept fucking filming? And yeah, you were invalidating my feelings when you told me it wasn't a big deal. I'm allowed to feel how I want. Second conversation: me. You ghosted me on my birthday and shouldn't have disrespected me. Bro, if you feel threatened by a homeless person who was just trying to be nice, then that's on you. I never wanted to disrespect you. I never wanted all of this. I just want to be happy with you. Lol, the way you're talking me. I want this. I want that. You're so selfish. You don't even realize me. I'm saying I love you and I want to be with you, and that's your response? Him. Look at how people are talking about me in the comments. You're not even defending me, and you just want me to forget all of this and get back together. Mind you, you're the one who broke up with me because I wanted sex. LM woo whoop. LOL. Exactly. Now on to second story. Confronted my cowardly father in front of our entire family, exposing him for the disgrace he is, while my girlfriend and supported me. My father has always been against any confrontation or arguments. He is extremely passive, refuses to stand up for himself, and avoids any conflict. If someone isn't paying attention while walking and bumps into him, he insists it's his own fault. If his employer would mess up his salary, he wouldn't bother fixing it. If a mechanic didn't properly repair his car, he would just accept it as is. This unfortunately resulted in a tumultuous childhood with my insanely narcissistic mother. She controlled his every move. She got him to quit his job and be a locked-in stay-at-home dad. She had him do every chore. She insulted him at every step. She cheated on him relentlessly and even brought APs into our home. She enjoyed making his life miserable every day, and he never questioned it. My extended family, God bless them, were there for me so many times, as much as they could be. They tried for years to make my father leave, but he never budged. When she would direct her anger onto myself, in the form of screaming, insulting or general demeaning, my father never once found the guts to stand up for me or support me. When I was a kid, if I cried to dad about something mom did or said to me, he would sweep it under the rug or just insist I forget about it. Hell, he would even try and justify it. As I grew older, it really set in for me how messed up this was. My mother gladly kicked me out of the house when I was 18 and my father just sat there and looked sullen. Didn't say a damn thing. I joined the Air Force almost immediately and got stationed on the other side of the country. The dynamic was awful and I could have easily gone down the incel route if not for therapy and the amazing people I met along the way. It took years for me to get in a better mental space. I was filled with hatred. My mother left my father 2 years after I got stationed and utterly destroyed my father in the divorce. She was killed a year later in a DUI with one of her APs. I took a lot of joy in hearing that it took her hours to die, and that's when I really knew I needed help to process things. I'm almost 30 now, have a girlfriend who is perhaps the best thing to ever happen in my life, and fully understands the situation with my family. I have learned to not allow myself to be consumed with anger and resentment by my past, or so I thought, you'll see, and instead put that energy to my future. I have been extraordinarily low contact / near no contact with my father since I left. As much as I try, I cannot make that connection with him. I recently went to a family reunion and brought my girlfriend with me. My father was there as it was his side of the family. They have many issues with him, but he is family, so whatever, I guess. I made sure to avoid him. I was chatting with my uncles when I heard my father talk in the background. He was discussing how a coworker of his was going through a divorce as he discovered his wife was having an affair, and was positioned to have a very favorable divorce on his side. My father remarked how his coworker should work instead to forgive his wife and by his own words set a good example for unity and forgiveness, and how he believed he set a great example for me in that extent. I swear it was like a switch went off in my head and I was mentally back to being the rage-filled 18-year-old. All these years and he never learned a damn thing. I turned to him and asked if he was fucking serious. He looked at me and started to stutter. I know the next minute was pure word vomit and I can't relay it perfectly, but to sum it up, I shouted how he was a pathetic father, pathetic man. His family all know he's a disgrace of a human being who would rather his son be treated like shit than defend him because he's a fucking coward. No one would ever see him as an example to live by. His wife would rather fuck half the neighborhood than even touch him, and he should never ever believe anyone respects him. I began to derail and ramble between my shouting and my girlfriend quickly took me out and drove me home. It was insane just how quickly being away from him made me feel better. She just held me when we got back and told me it's okay. Again, best thing to ever happen to me. I was ashamed of how I lost it and am now going to resume my therapy, that's a given. However, I'm glad I finally unloaded. Always needed to be said. Onto him. Extended family is pretty mixed with reactions. His brothers / my uncles said it was time for him to hear it from me. My grandparents are pissed I did that in front of the entire extended family, with some saying I should have done that behind closed doors instead of everyone. Update 1. However, some of them needed to be addressed because they were either hilarious or cringe-worthy. 1. Some of them were very angry, and they kind of confused me at first until I saw their comments further down or saw their profile and saw rants about double standards or complete non-sequitur ramblings about women. So yeah, not helpful advice, and they were great dark reflections about how I could have turned out if not for the support in my life too. Some attempted to portray my dad as a humble, kind, caring, sensitive old man who I'm just being a big bully too. This was a very good insight into how enablers of abuse get away with so much in today's world, because so many people forget how they are part of the abuse themselves. 3. Some were attempting to mentally dissect me or have a gotcha moment with me to pull apart my story. That was generally asinine and I had to step away from those before they asked for my cranial measurements or something, so it was pretty much immediately when I was up the next morning that I realized I needed to resolve the events of last night. I first spoke to my girlfriend and gave a sincere apology for having her see me like that. She reassured me that nothing was wrong. She'd known me for years and has always known me to be level-headed, and understands why I snapped. She herself has a history of dealing with narcissistic families, so she absolutely understands the dynamic. She only really told me that it would be best to work on spending time around my extended family since my father will always be there. I told her don't worry, I'm immediately going to talk to them afterwards to figure that out. So that part's fine. Looked like kind of an ass in front of her, but I'm making sure that doesn't happen again. I also informed of her my intentions to resume more therapy just to keep myself steady, which she was happy to hear. I called my grandparents and sincerely apologized as well for putting such a sore dent into their family reunion. That it wasn't appropriate, and while I still feel it felt good to say that to him, it should have been privately and not in front of everyone. I also told them that going forward, as much as I love spending time with them, since the family always hangs out in one group that my father will always be in, for now until I can handle being around him, I need to distance myself occasionally until I feel comfortable interacting. I told them that I am nor would I ever be establishing an ultimatum or demands of them, and that either way I need to step back. I guess during my apology and explanation I was kind of just going on a tangent because my grandfather interrupted me to calm down. He told me that after I left, people kind of separated or slowly started leaving, and they eventually were able to talk to my father one-on-one. I guess seeing me have such a freak out resulted in my grandmother having a mini freak out of her own when she started talking to my father, resulting in her kicking him out. While I have a great relationship with both, my grandmother has always been extra protective of me, so seeing me that way must have set off a fire in her. My grandfather then said that it has become a bit of an open family secret my father's failing. His brothers taunt him about it and generally don't have a great relationship with him, and for my grandparents it's always just uneasy. But seeing me the other day and how it still affects me so much has really liked in for a lot of people that it was really bad. They began to try and say sorry if they didn't do enough, which I very adamantly retorted that they did more than what anyone could have expected. It was very emotional for a minute, but culminated in then telling me that they have decided to distance themselves from my father for the time being, and have given him the ultimatum that unless he has a deep introspective and regularly goes to therapy, that distance may become permanent. My extended family, I've been told, are going to try and reach out or call or whatever, but I asked them if they could relay to them that it's not necessary, and that I'm fine and am sorry to them as well for ruining the day, which again, they told me I shouldn't apologize for being hurt. Since then, extended family have sent some messages with the general consensus that it's okay, with some older members complaining about my lack of respect towards my father, and finally, I texted my father hoping to meet at a local coffee shop and have a final talk. I met him and he didn't look good. I think his parents tearing into him finally got the message through. I had so many things I could have said, but I instead asked him first thing if the coworker he gave the advice to took it well. He just said that neither him nor several coworkers interact with him anymore. I asked him if he truly 100% believes that every single thing he did for me as a child was for my benefit. He didn't really say anything. I then finally asked if he has any regrets for how I was treated as a child, and if he thinks he ever did anything wrong. He looked utterly defeated and just mumbled that he could have done more. I could have poked and prodded and could have gone on another rant, but instead I told him this should be goodbye and I hope he gets the help he needs. Finally unloading my frustrations was what I needed to finally be able to move on and find peace. I absolutely need to keep on track for therapy and admit that a public bitching moment isn't okay, but I should be fine. The ability to control one's failures, yes, that's what I'll call your situation, is very powerful. You'll do alright. That you immediately communicated that to your loved ones is a huge sign of how respectable and genuine you are as a person. I really hope you keep moving forward from this situation with the same mindset. Good luck. Don't beat yourself up over it. You've done what you needed to do to move on, and it seems like you're on the right track now.